Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Novel Aini, and I'm here would like to present about my presentation, namely about post-method era approach. Before I start my presentation, I have divided my presentation into 4 items. The first item is about method and approach. The second item is about kind of method and approach. The third item is about criticism of approach and method. And the fourth item is about post-method era. Okay, let's start from the beginning, namely method and approach. In this segment, I would like to show you some of definitions that have stated by famous experts. Actually, there are many definitions about method and approach, but the most famous is from Edward Anthony at 1963, where he defined method was defined as an overall plan for systematic presentation of language based on a selected approach. And he also stated that approach was a set of assumptions dealing with the nature of language learning and teaching. There is other definition from Richard and Rogers at 1986, where they state method as an umbrella term to capture the defined approaches, designs, and procedures, while method is procedural and approach is axiomatic. Actually, this definition is contradictory with the first one, and it is the critics of the first definition, but the most common in teaching and learning language is the first definition. Next, kind of method and approach. For decades, the expert has developed and created many kind of approach and many kind of methods. And these are some of approaches in language teaching, like communicative language teaching, content-based instruction, lexical approaches, the natural approach, task-based language teaching, competency-based language teaching, cooperative learning, multiple intelligences, neuro-linguistic programming, and whole language. Besides of approach that applied in language teaching, also there are several kinds of method that have been applied for decades, start from early 19th, 1019, and end in 20th century. Like grammar translation method. This is the first method that introduced, well, the language teaching is focused on translate from one word to other word. And then after that, direct method, that is contradictory with grammar translation method. Audiolingual method, that also known as Army method, because it applied to US Army in World War II. Cognitive code learning, counseling learning, situational language teaching, the silent way, suggestophadia, total physical response. From all methods that have been applied and appear one by one, there are several questions which a new approach or method is adopted. The first, what advantages does the new approach or method offer? The second, how compatible is it with teacher existing belief and attitude with the organization and practices with classroom and school? The third, is the new approach or method very complicated and difficult to understand to use? 4. Has it been tested out in some school and classrooms before teachers are expected to use it? 5. How the benefits of the new approach or method being clearly communicated to the teacher and institution? And the 6, how clear and practical is the new approach or method? These questions always appear every when there is new methods appear. For that, in the beginning, the expert think that, and many teachers think that method is all-in-one solution to teach learning, to teach language, but in the end, after the globalization and other effect of globalization, the method will be decreased. The function of method decrease. And there are several criticisms toward method and approach also. The first, unlikely to be widely adopted. Maybe in the decades ago, some method can be widely adopted because only there is a mono kind of learner in their classroom. But after time, the learner is not only one kind of them. There are several kind of them with different background of study, different culture, different native language. The second, difficult to understand and use. Maybe it is helpful for the teacher that have understand how to use the method, but on the other hand, it is difficult to other teacher, especially the new teacher that didn't master the method yet. And the third, like clear practical application. And also there are several criticisms of approaches and methods. Some of them, like the top-down critics, the role of contextual factor, the need for curriculum development process, lack of research basis, similarities of classroom practice, and others. So, to answer this problem, some research conduct and born post-method era approach. So, what is post-method era approach? According to Kumara Vadilev, at 1994, first method is conditioned in our current language education, in which there are various efforts to construct the relationship between theories and practice of method and approach also based on context. So that is not about the method anymore, but the context. The context here means the background of learner, the needs of learner, and the kind of learner, the situation, and others. And also based on Richard and Rogers, best method, post-method era is the era where the learning is now depend to only specific methods. It's not only the method as the focus or only one method as the focus, but can be various. So there are several points. The first is not only about adopting or combining the method that have been there before, but about sensitivity of teacher towards needs of learner. And also because the globalization, the needs of learner is various and have to comprehend and have to be has to be processed toward the learning itself. And the last, post method is not new method, is not alternative method, but the alternative to the method. Because post method is approach, also there are several principles. There are 12 principles of post method language, like automaticity, strategic investment, risk taking, language culture connection, interlanguage, communicative competence, and others. And the role of teacher itself is also there. It's not because the teacher only to be a partner, but also have to do some build, encourage, get students to make their mistake and others. And maybe this is all from me. And thank you so much for your participation. Last from me, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.